Brain controlling magnets. How do they stimulation alters the activity of the brain without the need for an invasive physical procedure. But for such a groundbreaking and potentially alarming technique, it is not very well known. TMS allows scientists to selectively stimulate areas of the brain. Which is cool. Figure. Talai Sharat data from PNAS. If you were to tell people that the technology exists to manipulate the workings of people's brains, they may not believe you. That sort of thing is the stuff of cheap sci-fi B-movies. If someone in the real world were to try to develop it, that's exactly the sort of scenario where they'd send James Bond in to stop them before it got too far. But the fact is that this technology genuinely exists and is widely used in neuroscientific research. It is known as Transcranial Magnetic Stimulation, or TMS, and as the name suggests, it stimulates the brain through the cranium using magnetism. Magnets and the brain work together a lot. Neuroscience is an increasingly media-friendly area of science, and this is due in part to the increasing use of magnetic resonance imaging (MRI), an invaluable but complex technique that uses intense magnetic fields and radio waves to produce eye-catching images of a working body and brain. TMS takes this brain-magnet relationship a step further. Rather than just passively looking and observing as the brain goes about its business, these advanced electromagnets actually alter the activity of targeted brain regions by inducing a localized varying magnetic field that causes a weak electrical current. This might sound like a bad idea, like licking a battery, but with your temporal lobe rather than your tongue, but it's perfectly logical. The brain does what it does via electrical currents conducted by neurons, and these currents are what keep our numerous organs and anatomical areas working as one cohesive whole, which is important for things like playing sports and staying alive for more than 3 seconds. TMS simply causes these electrical currents, which the body generates all the time, to occur at higher levels in certain targeted areas of the brain. The technique relies on placing a coil of varying design and composition, depending on what you want to do, on the scalp of your conscious subject, above the area you hope to stimulate, and turning it on. The biophysics behind what occurs is fascinating, albeit complex, but that's essentially the procedure, which is deceptively simple seeming. What's the point of doing this? Well, inducing currents in a part of the brain causes that part to become more or less active depending on whether you get neuronal depolarization or hyperpolarization. Inducing this activity in selected areas gives us a much better understanding of what these areas do, how certain types of activity influence a person's behavior or perception, or any number of things like that. It's not a perfect tool, of course. The direct stimulation is currently limited to the more surface-level areas of the brain, given the precision required and limitations of the technique. This still offers ample scope for areas of interest though, and it is still possible to influence deeper areas of the brain, albeit indirectly, via the myriad connections. Admittedly, when someone manually induces a current in your verbal processing areas or motor cortex, it can seem a little unnerving. And it certainly looks disconcerting. But all the evidence suggests that, used appropriately, it is a safe procedure. TMS expert, Cardiff University researcher and occasional Guardian contributor Chris Chambers sums it up quite nicely. The neural activation caused by TMS can tell us a lot about how the human brain controls different behaviors, ranging from basic functions like the ability to see, hear and touch, to our ability to speak and make motor movements. We can even use TMS to explore how the most advanced part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, regulates high-level abilities like consciousness, impulse control and working memory. The great advantage of TMS over other neuroscience methods is that we're interfering with the brain rather than simply measuring its activity. Because of the causal nature of this intervention, this can tell us which parts of the brain are necessary for particular functions. There is also some evidence that TMS may assist in the treatment of conditions such as depression and tinnitus, and there is growing evidence that it can help the brain reorganize following a stroke. I can reassure people as to the safety of TMS, in that I've experienced it several times myself by volunteering for studies at the Cardiff University Brain Research Imaging Center. I only ever had one experience that alarmed me. During one study, I was having my motor cortex activated, which caused my arm to flail involuntarily. It sounds worrying, but it's essentially a high-tech version of a doctor testing your reflexes in your knee with a mallet. This experience didn't hurt, and as a neuroscience enthusiast I found the experience cool rather than worrying. However, the physical setup of the study and the flailing of my arm meant that I repeatedly came perilously close to slapping the female experimenter on the posterior. I am not the sort of man who thinks this move is a good idea, and I can't imagine a scenario where I could more effectively argue that it wasn't.
Man, come on now. I hope y'all listening to Siri. You feel me? Hey Siri, did y'all listen? Come on now. This is someone who actually went through the studies, researcher, who was experimented on, and he can reassure us as about the safety of it, right? And that he experienced it several times himself, by volunteering for studies at the Cardiff University Brain Research Imaging Center, right? He said, I only ever had one experience that alarmed me. Maybe he's brain dead. I'm just saying. But anyway, this is the only time he was alarmed. That during one study, he was having his motor, you know what your motor skills are? Oh yeah, he was having his motor cortex activated. Right? So that means the motor skills part of his brain, the cord of your brain, the cortex, the cord of the brain that controls your motor skills, was activated, which caused his arm to flail involuntarily. I hope you know what involuntarily means. He didn't try to swing his arm. He was swinging on his own. He was swinging that. He had him. Yeah. It sounds worrying, but it's essentially a high-tech version of a doctor testing your reflexes in your knee with a mallet. Yeah. Isn't that such a guppy thing to say? It's such a guppy. Only a guppy would say that, this is similar to a doctor testing your knee and your reflexes with a mallet. They are hooking up a device to your brain, making your brain, or making, controlling your motor skills. That means your hands, your feet, every movement. And that's nothing to be too alarmed about. He can, like he said in the beginning, he can reassure us people, of the safety of TMS. Right? Hold on. Right? Transcranial magnetic stimulation. That means they are magnetically shifting your mind. Y'all don't get it. Like they call Moses a transhumanist because he moved the people, the flock, the sheep, or the cat, the groups of, the tribes that he was a part of. He moved them around, and they definitely followed. Right? Well, they're moving your cranial around. The brain is magnetic. So the brain being magnetic, and they're transcranial magnetizing and stimulating your mind. They are making it do what they say. They are controlling your motor skills through transcranial magnetic stimulation. Right? So y'all just don't understand how deep this nanotechnology about to go. This is going to assist in the nanotechnology. Look at the schematic design. Or or diagram. You see how they can put this ring, this magnetic ring above the mind and control you. Make you slap yourself. Make you slap others. Right? Right? Transcranial magnetic stimulation is a non-invasive form of brain stimulation. They call it stimulating. In which a changing magnetic field is used to cause electric current at a specific area of the brain through electromagnetic induction. The electric pulse generator or stimulator is connected to a magnetic coil, which in turn is connected to the scalp. The stimulator, see, this is what these headphones are going to do to you. Can do to you, have already been doing to you. This is what these virtual reality devices around the head and eyes and everything is going to do to you, if they so choose, because you just gave up your willpower when you connect onto their game, right? When you allow foreign technology in your body, foreign nanotechnology, in your body, whether it be from a doctor. But I'm saying the TMS.
Yeah.
That's what it was earlier. TMS.
The stimulator, yep.
Yeah, stimulator, transcranial magnetic stimulator.
I see the magnet and the coil. Wow.
Yep. And this is Neuralink. So this is obviously the same technology. He just made his version. He don't have Pepsi, he have Coca-Cola.
Right. Using the computer to use cranial pressure points to control your body movements.
Yeah.
Or I think you mentioned sending thoughts as well.
Obviously, bro, people gonna think they telepathic and all that. They're gonna think they so special. They ain't crap. You're a cyborg and you happy to be, like basically you don't have to buy a PS3 no more. You got all this stuff. Now they're trying to say to ease depression. They're gonna control the mind all kind of way. They say, man, I tell you, I make you do whatever. But they just want you to fall for it. Like, yeah, if you do this, I can ease your depression. Come here. Let me do it. Matter of fact, you got to sign right here. You got to give me consent first. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thanks. All right. Now you doing everything he controlling you to do.
TMS shit.
Yep. That device they'll put over your head. They could do this externally. They don't have to plant this in your head. Yep. TMS uses a focused electromagnet to rapidly pulse a magnetic field to the target area. The magnetic pulses induce an electrical current in the brain, stimulating the cells into activity. Right? See, look at that. Come on, man. Look how they can control a person, man. Transcranial Magnetic Stimulation, TMS, is one of the tools that researchers frequently employ to study the brain and its capabilities. In order to better understand the motor system, a research team used TMS to map the brain as participants learned a new fine motor skill. Guess what it was? Playing the piano. Bro, come on, man. You can't grab a kid's hands and make them play the piano. It just ain't gonna work. You can't grab nobody else's hands and make them be able to play a whole piece on the piano, bro. But they can TMS you, huh? They can TMS your mind, transcranially magnetic, stimulate.
And that's why.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Bro, how in the world could they TMS the minds, the brains of these people?
The new
and they were able to play the piano.
Reality. And we're living in some false sense of reality. You know?
Yeah, we think these people was fly and talented and man, they got this TMS tool upside their head, man. They got a Neuralink, man. You feel me? Like this whack.
I fired him like fire can. Say they strong on the song, but it's just some lies, man. Kelly cool on the song, but this is fire, man. I fired him, call ambulance. I fired him like fire can. Say they strong on the song, but it's just some lies, man. Kelly cool on the song, but this is fire, man. I heard they hate dark skin, so I guess they